very difficult to predict where this thing's going to end up. But I still think there are plenty of good candidates out there. Joe Brady is a potential candidate. Brian Johnson, the Eagles quarterback coach. Freddie Kitchens, of course. Greg Roman is one that's been bounced around quite a bit. Kevin Johns, the offensive coordinator at Duke. I've heard his name get brought up a couple of times. So it's narrowing down, but it hadn't been narrowed down to a point where I could give you three names right now, that's for sure.
And I do want to go back, because when you were listing off that list of potential offensive coordinators outside of the old boy from Duke, I think you pretty much listed a bunch of NFL guys. Do you feel like, and look, I know Grubb appeared to be very high on the list, but it feels like Nick Saban is looking heavily to the NFL, perhaps for his offensive coordinator.
Yeah, I really think that's a very strong possibility. And it kind of makes you wonder, because the last couple of, NFL coaches that have come in maybe haven't done the job to the standard that a lot of fans want them to, whether you're talking about Doug Marrone as the offensive line coach or with Bill O'Brien being the offensive coordinator, even though I personally think that Bill O'Brien, there were I think the offensive line was very limiting during his first season as OC. And then this past year, it was just, when your star quarterback gets a shoulder injury, he misses almost 2 games, 7 quarters worth of football, and he comes back, and now he no longer has the ability to stretch defenses vertically. That's going to also limit what you're able to call as well. And so I think that he was kind of handcuffed through some unfortunate circumstances in both seasons. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the guy. I think the longer you go and you can't quite get things figured out, you got to start saying, okay, maybe you are the problem. I think there are a lot of justifiable reasons why he wasn't as effective as a lot of fans wanted him to be. But I think that, Nick Saban likes going that NFL route, because I think there's a little bit more of a commitment to the run game when you go to the NFL ranks. I think with Todd Monken, he was kind of one of those guys that was willing to sling the football around and do all that stuff on the NFL level compared to all the other guys. But then he comes to Georgia, and he's willing to make that, adjustment. And it really is not as big of an adjustment, because in the NFL you have to be able to run the football, just in the way that they run offenses and things like that on that level. So I think there's some, comfortability there with where he wants to take Alabama's offense. And I think that there are several names. I think Frank Reich would have made a good option, but obviously he's with the Panthers. Jason Garrett, I don't think that would be – I've heard that name get bounced around a couple of times. I don't think that would be a great hire personally. But, Greg Roman and, obviously Freddie Kitchens has experience on the NFL level as a play caller. And I thought when he was with the Browns and he only had offensive coordinator responsibilities, I thought he was fantastic. I thought he was very innovative. I thought he had a good feel for, game management and stuff. But then when you put that responsibility of being a head coach on top of that, I think it just, sometimes when you're overwhelmed, even the things that you're comfortable with and you do well, you can't even do those things very effectively. And I think, Freddie Kitchens kind of found himself in that situation. So I also think he would be an excellent candidate as well.